Liver is the best。
我说你觉得这个烤着吃的还好吃，还是煮着吃的好吃？我就随便问了一句，结果他很认真的想了想，回答了我，他说是烤着吃的好吃，煮着吃的比较腥。
My favorite part of the human body is the liver, which has the highest calories in the human body, with 2,569 calories. It is very suitable for hungry people. Liver has a mellow aroma that makes people go crazy for it, and even eat it raw. The second is the heart. Eating the heart is a ritual, which brings people the excitement for hunting. Because of the frequent blood flow of the heart, it has the highest freshness and unique taste. Even if that person is starved to death, it still has calories in its heart. The third must be children. In Chinese history, they are called 合谷烂, which means that the meat of children is tender, the bones soften with the meat as they cook, without fishy smell and full of juicy. I think it's great even for barbecuing. The fourth is muscles of men and the fat of women. The beauty of men is due to their strong muscles, and the beauty of women is due to their round fat. This is not only a delicacy, but also an aesthetic of art. No wonder they only eat men's legs and women's breasts.
What does human flesh taste like?
Its appearance is like beef, but not so red. The fat is light yellow like chicken fat, and the muscle fibers are like pork. It has a special flavor, and tastes like mutton without any strong smell.
We were born and grew up in a special country. Everything seemed to be arranged. Every adult we met told us that we are the greatest nation in the world. The evil capitalists are bullying the good us. Western imperialism has always wanted to kill us. We are nothing without our country. I don't know why I became a special one. Maybe all factories are destined to have defective products, and everyone who is different must be destroyed. From that moment on, I really felt that there were countless eyes staring at me, including my parents, teachers, classmates, and countless green eyes lurking in the dark. Biological instinct told me that I had become a jungle prey. Will they celebrate killing me? Will they be overjoyed to eat my body and soul? At that moment, it awakened two kinds of memories in me, the memory of cannibalism and the memory of being eaten. So I remembered the words of one of the greatest writers in Chinese history.
I opened the history and looked it up. There is no date in this history, and the words benevolence, righteousness, and morality are written on each page crookedly. I couldn't sleep anyway, and after reading carefully half the night, I finally saw the words between the words. There were two words written all over the book that read eating people. Lu Sun's Diary of a Madman.
Is this a metaphor? Yes, it is used to describe the interpersonal relationship in the jungle society, the prisoner's dilemma without community. Is this just a metaphor? No. I checked the history over and over again. Only in China, there is such a weird behavior of cannibalism. It is not forced by desperation, not antisocial psychosis, but large-scale, organized, Generalized cannibalism eaten by the Chinese people far exceed the sum of other countries. They like to eat people. This is a key to Chinese history and culture. What can we discover from behind the door? They are memories of cannibalism that is fully integrated into the customs of Chinese life.
Don't cry, baby, don't cry. If you cry again, the old cat monkey will take you away and eat you.
The old cat monkey is a legendary monster that looks like a big cat and ape in northern China. Parents always use this monster to scare their children when they are crying or disobedient, but no one can tell what the monster looks like. They always like to appear quietly in the alleys, quickly grabbing, walking away the child. The parents couldn't hear the child's voice. They looked into the house and saw a hairy creature jumping out of the window. No one has seen the front of the monster. Is it a big cat? Is it an ape? When parents run out, they could no longer see any figure. Gradually, people became suspicious of the old lady who was staggering in the alley. Her head was lowered, her fluffy hair covered her face, and the beast-like stench on her body made people run away. People didn't know why she was always in the alley. Walking in the park, she hunched over, as if she was holding something in her arms. According to the old people in the village, they heard a nursery rhyme when they were young.
红眼绿鼻子是个毛蹄子，走路啪啪响，要吃活孩子。
It means red eyes, green nose, for hairy hooves, makes a papa sound when it walks. This kind of monster wants to eat children, but when they grow up, they leave the village, the city, and the province, only to find that everywhere are children's songs like this.
红眼绿鼻子是个毛蹄子，走路啪啪响，要吃活孩子。
When the old lady in the village was young, she covered the baby's mouth in order to prevent monsters from finding her baby. Outside the door, the sound of
啪啪啪啪啪啪啪啪啪啪
penetrated into her heart from the ground. Hide behind the door, she was so frightened that she trembled all over, with tears in her eyes, and covered the baby's mouth with all her strength to prevent the baby from crying. She didn't know how much time had passed. She couldn't hear the sound. She was limp on the ground, and her child's voice could not be heard anymore. She held the dead child and made up her mind to seek revenge from the monster. 50 years have passed, and she has become that old lady hobbling in the alley.
However, I saw her running out of the village with something in her arms one morning. She didn't look like an old lady with bad legs at all.
Could it be everything is her disguise? She was jealous of other people's children. At first, she always used candies and toys to lure children to play in her home. But one day a boy discovered her secret, the mummy lying in the locked room. She explained it was her own dead child. Stop screaming. She covered the boy's mouth and wanted to explain, but accidentally killed him. However, this opened the door of evil in her heart. It turned out that listening to those parents anxiously looking for their children, loss, crying, and despair, felt that she had experienced it before. Yes, it made her so excited. Enough! Stop telling what the neighbors saw when they broke into her home. That's enough. Because this story was fabricated by YouTuber Simulator of Sinim.
就是我编的。
This story is a synthesis of various folk interpretations of the unknown monster old cat monkey. It is actually a romanticized interpretation caused by large-scale, organized, and generalized cannibalism. First, the areas where such monster stories are spread, Hunan, Shandong, Hebei, Anhui, and Jiangsu, are the main cannibal areas in Chinese history. The yellow circles I marked on the map indicate the range of monster activities. Second, Both official histories and folk writings repeatedly record the cooking of infants or children, such as in 7th century BC. In the spring and autumn period, Iya, a chef of Qi state, he wanted to please the king, so he steamed his youngest son and dedicated it to the king of Qi as a taster. In 5th century BC, during the period of Wei Wenhou in the Warring States period, Lu Yang, the general of the state of Wei, attacked Zhongshan state. The king of Zhongshan killed Lu Yang's son and made thick soup for him to eat. Lu Yang drank up the thick soup and wiped out the Zhongshan kingdom. In 7th century, Zhuge and Gao Zan in the late Sui dynasty were addicted to cannibalism. Gao Zan killed the twin children, put their heads, hands and feet on plates, and made a twin banquet to enjoy with Zhuge. Zhuge steamed his concubine, put her in a cross-legged meditation posture, repainted her face with makeup. Zhuge tore the meat from her thigh with his own hands, and asked Gao Zan to eat it. In 11th century, during Song dynasty, Anong, the mother of an emperor, has a vicious nature, is addicted to children's meat, and kills children every time she eats. In 12th century, at the end of the northern Song dynasty, people divided human flesh into grades according to quality. The old and thin man is called Raobao, meaning that the meat of this kind of person is old and needs more fire. And the young woman is called Baxianyang, meaning that the taste of this kind of person is better than that of mutton. If you eat women's meat, you won't be envious of eating mutton. Children are called Hegulan. It means that the meat of children is tender, and the meat and bones are overcooked when cooked. Third officials would go to villages to catch children to eat, and even ask people to hand over children to eat, like paying taxes, for healing or purely for appetite. In 17th century, an official was sick, and the wizard said that eating the child's brain would cure him, so the official bought the child, killed it and ate it. The illness was not cured, and the wizard said that the child's brain should be eaten raw. So the officials killed the child and directly cut open the brain and sucked it. In 10th century, a man who was a butcher became a general. He especially liked to eat human flesh, so he went to the people to catch children to eat. In 7th century, many historical books record an ogre emperor named Shu Kan. At that time, the East Asia was in chaos. In order to fight the war, he asked the officials to collect the weak, women and children by paying taxes, and use their human flesh as military rations. This happened often in Chinese history, but he himself especially likes cannibalism. Once his friend came to visit him, he killed him and ate him. He cooks people in a large cauldron, and he especially likes to eat women and children. He said,
食之美者，宁过与人肉乎？但令他国有人，我何所虑？
which means that there is nothing tastier than human flesh. As long as there are people in other countries, I am not afraid of running out of food in war. As his officials passed through the villages, the mouths of babies and children were tightly muzzled, as in the first story, lest they be caught to eat. Most of China's rulers are barbarians. They are agile and hairy. The romantic exaggeration is that monsters like big cats and apes are catching children. Well, after we read a little bit of historical material, let us look at the last interpretation of the monster story, which is about an official of the same age as the ogre emperor Zhu Kan, who was responsible for protecting a large river for transportation and digging. He is fierce and cruel, and especially likes to eat people. His name is pronounced the same as the monster's name. Chinese characters have only 500 sounds, and most ancient Chinese were illiterate, so it was passed on by word of mouth, romanticized into a monster story. In fact, this official is not the only one who cannibalizes people. His colleagues all eat people. Not only officials cannibalize people, but ordinary people too. Among them, babies and children are the first victims. So we often see the following historical materials in history books. They have the same sentence pattern. In which year and for which reason, people exchanged children to eat when wars or famines were happened. It happened in every dynasty and every generation. And these are just the tip of the iceberg of cannibals. Analyze Chinese culture, understand Chinese history, and listen to real stories. If you like it, please subscribe to me. In the next issue, we will talk about another cannibal memory.